Recently, I was invited to a Smogon tournament called USA versus the World, where my team, which would consist of people from the US, would play against a whole lot of other regions across every generation. For this tournament, I was told to play Sword and Shield OU, a tier I haven't played since Sword and Shield was out. And my opponent Mattz is a top player in the tier, so this is going to be a very interesting game. Let's see how it went. You know, I thought I had narrated this live, but apparently I didn't. But it does say December 28th, so there was a good chance I was with family while playing this. But we're playing Mattz, who's very good at Sword and Shield OU. Myself, I have not played it since the end of it, as the intro said. Very excited though. I got this team from my boy Ox. It is Choice Band Buzzwole. It is Modest Specs Dragapult. And then we have the standard cores here, Boots, Zeraora, and then my three most defensive pieces in the world: Landorus, Heatran, Slowbro. My opponent has a very scary team, which is apparently a sample team, which I learned later on in after the battle. But what I'm thinking at team preview: Scarf Shifu, Specs Lele or Twisted Spoon, SD Garchomp, and then Clef. One of these is Rocks. This is an annoying Zapdos, and this is a Clefable. But usually the Clefables are Fizz Def in this generation because of Garchomp or Shifu, etc. That's as much as I remember when it comes to this. Zapdoses are important because they deal with Melmetals as well as the Rillabooms and I guess Blazigans too. So my Slowbro on this team actually happens to be more special defensive, which is better into Lele in general, and can still eat a hit from Zapdos as well. I assume this is just Volt Turn into these demons. That's honestly what I thought when looking at this. So let's jump right into it. So we do have our Shifu lead into Dragapult lead. I'm going to click Shadow Ball because even if you're Scarf Ice Spinner, or I don't even know if you have that this gen, is that next gen? I don't know, Ice Punch, whatever, you don't beat me. And I decided to go for the roll here versus Clefable because it's super in my favor because I'm modest. And the way they bring out Lele here, I believe it to be Scarf, which is why I'm going to switch out. But then they end up going for Future Sight. So I'm not sure if there was actually a bluff or not. But it was a great play. It also could have been AV. When I saw Future Sight, I was like, oh, maybe it's AV. Because CTC used to run that back in the day too. But I do have a Spit F Slowbro, and I know that I can bring it out, and I can throw off a Teleport, bring out Heatran. Heatran feels pretty safe here. I decided not to get up or like do anything besides go for Magma Storm here because Magma Storm gives me a lot of damage. Oh, excuse me, no, I got up Rocks here. I thought I did this turn, but I get up Rocks on Shifu, and Future Sight's going to come out this turn, which isn't too bad. I'm going to take it. I don't want to go Slowbro and have them U-turn on me and then bring out Zapdos. So I decided to pick a little bit aggressive play here, which is rewarded because they do end up U-turning out, but then it's not rewarded because I missed Magma Storm. So I don't get my like 30-something plus percentage on Garchomp with the Connect plus the residual as well. And this Garchomp ends up being a Swords Dance variant. So not weakening that is really big for Zeraora because Zeraora looked insane into them. They double out into Zapdos, which is a great play as I go Buzzwole. And obviously, I do have to switch. I end up going Landorus. I wasn't sure if they Volt Switch versus Hurricane versus anything. They end up going for Defog there, and they throw off a Hurricane after, as my Landorus is able to take it. I end up going for U-turn. Could have probably went for Toxic and unfortunately get the static on me, but I'm able to bring on my Heatran again. And again, there's no real switch-ins to this guy, so they really have to be careful. And I can always go for Rocks. I can always go for Magma Storm. I end up going for Rocks again as they bring out Urshifu, and I'm like, you know what? F it, we ball. I'm playing a good player. Let me go for U-turn, or let me go for Magma Storm again as they go Garchomp, and I'm like, cool. And I do manage to land. So as you see, I do to my 23, and I did a lot to it. This is really important for Zeraora. They came in at 100, basically, almost 100. They're at 65. Very, very, very good for Zeraora. So I end up bringing out Landorus here as they go for the Scale Shot there. And they get 4 hits, but I double out to Buzzwole as they end up bringing out Zapdos. So I'm pretty much forced to switch. I go Zeraora this time, just in case. And my thought process was, okay, I knock off here, I get something out of the turn, I could potentially get up Rocks later if they go out into Garchomp and make a good play. They go for Hurricane, which is a good play in general, and I just throw off some Plasma Fists. They're very, very defensive. I get a nasty crit, though. They're very, very defensive, but it kind of makes up for the Magma Storm miss since Garchomp would legitimately be at 30%. Zeraora is going to come out. I go for another Plasma Fist as Ferrothorn comes out, and I'm just going to bring right out my Heatran. And I have another opportunity here if I want to go for Magma Storm versus Rocks. I decide because because Zapdos is on that timer and my Buzzwole was banded. And look at Ice Punch and look at their team, or look at CC and look at their team. I decide that Rocks is better. They make a good play and go for knockoff here, but this is fine because I can still throw off a Magma Storm, or I can double out into Buzzwole here on the potential Urshifu. And this works out for me because, again, me being Choice Banded, they end up going for that Surgeon Strikes, which does absolutely nothing to me. And I am, like I said, a Choice Band Buzzwole, so they go right down. I'm very bulky Choice Band Buzzwole, Roost, just in case I get knocked off. Garchomp is going to come out. It's a little threatening because I missed Magma Storm earlier. I don't have Ice Beam on Slowbro, I have Scald. So because I missed the earlier Magma Storm, I can't, like, if they SD here, I'm screwed because I'm Spidef Slowbro, and I can't, unless I get a Scald Burn, right? So I stay in here hoping that, okay, maybe they don't get all the right hits. I couldn't let them SD it for free. They end up going for Scale Shot, which is fair. What we're going to do is we're going to bring out Slowbro here. And I'm going to go right for the Scald, I believe, as they end up bringing out Ferrothorn. It's not the end of the world. Again, Spadef Slowbro is still really, really, really good into Lele. It's just the Garchomp that is a little bit problematic. I just end up sticking in them knockoff or potentially Leech Seed because I can teleport out. Or go for Future Sight first, and then I can bring out my Heatran, which is extremely hard for them to switch into. They make a great play going out to Lele here, as I am going to go for that teleport. And I end up bringing Dragon Pulse because I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't actually Scarf, and this is Scarf Shifu, and this is like Aviar Specs. So I was like, okay, I'll get Chip, and then I'll switch back out after that. But they end up being Scarf, and this is my own fault because, again, I didn't know the sample team, and I really thought they weren't. But yeah, so I'm able to bring it. They end up being Scarf, so I go out to Heatran. I go for another Magma Storm as Garchomp comes in, and I once again miss, which really sucks because now they're not in range of my Slowbro. But it's still decently hard because Psychic from Lele is really, really good. And then they go for SD here, which is a really good play as they're able to, because there was no real risk, right? I kept missing already, so they weren't really going to take any hits from that. And again, my Slowbro doesn't have Ice Beam, right? I'll live a hit from them, but I don't have Ice Beam. I have to go for Scald Burns, and then I have to try and regen back. As you can see, I'm very, very Spadef. So I get a Scald off here. Does 27. I don't get the burn. And then I believe I'm just going to end up losing right now to the Garchomp. So that was, again, pretty rough one for me. I think it started off well, and I think I made some plays good with Heatran. I do think if I hit the Magma Storms on Garchomp, I get positions there or in to start clicking buttons. But that's Magma Storm. And also I have like this thing about me where it comes to when tournament games really matter. I love to bring Heatran because I feel like it's a high risk in terms of clicking Magma Storm, but high reward Pokemon. So didn't end up working out for me. Might have still been able to do it if I knew the Lele was Scarf, but again, I have not played Gen 8. This was a sample team, so I definitely should have checked. Like nowadays, I would check. Use this for me if you're playing an OST, definitely check the samples team thread if you're playing somebody because you don't want them to be it. But this was I played this December 28th, so this was kind of like my first tour that I came back to, and I'm like, all right, well, and this is where I was like, okay, let's go back to tours because I'm definitely a little rusty and I want to play it out. So big shout out to Mattz. Thank you for so much for the game. And yeah, Magma Storm sucks. But I will continue to use Heatran until I die. And until I die because of it. Which ended up happening here and in general. But yeah, hope y'all enjoyed. I'll see y'all in the next one. That's it. Peace.